Hare Krishna. So we welcome you all to this reading session on Krishna book, chapter number 24 and 25, part 2 of 2. So today we'll be completing the part which we had read yesterday, the part of chapter number 24, and then we'll be reading chapter number 25 completely. So let's begin this discussion with this wonderful prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 He. Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav Pahi Mam. Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we had left yesterday at this point where we had seen that Lord Krishna persuaded his father and all the elderly men of Vrindavan that they should not do the yajna for the pleasure of Indra and rather use that sacrifice and all the paraphernalia which was collected for worshipping of Govardhan hill. And Vanan Maharaj suggested that we can do another yajna and let us do this because we should not break the parampara or this traditional activity, this ceremony. So Lord Krishna was very firm in his decision, and therefore, out of their love for Krishna, they bowed down and they agreed to his proposal. So now Lord Krishna was describing that how this whole ceremony should be conducted, and we know that the Govardhan is very dear to Lord Krishna. The cows are very dear to Krishna. So it was told yesterday that first they did the Go Puja, and then afterwards they started doing Govardhan Puja. Okay, so we'll read from what where we left off yesterday. In this statement, Lord Krishna practically described the whole economy of the Vaishya community. In all the communities in human society, including the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Chandalas, etc., and in the animal kingdom, including the cows, dogs, goats, etc., everyone has his part to play. Each is to work in cooperation for the total benefit of society, which includes not only animate objects but also inanimate objects like hills and land. The Vaishya community is specifically responsible for the economic improvement of the society by producing grain, by giving protection to the cows, by transporting food when needed, and by banking and finance. So we had read yesterday also that these are some primary duties of the Vaishya community, but it's being told over here that every every community has a particular role to play in the society. There is some specific roles which have been defined for them, and not only in this society, but as well as even in the society of the animate and inanimate objects. Right. From this statement, we also learn that although the cats and dogs, which have become now so important, are not to be neglected, cow protection is actually more important than protection of cats and dogs. So when Srila Prabhupada went to the US, although we don't see much it in India, but if we see in the Western countries, keeping cats as pet animals is quite a culture, right? So we see in India primarily people keep dogs as their pet, but Shil Prabhupada right says that it's a culture now that people are keeping pets as cats and dogs, and he says that it's not that we should neglect them, but rather he emphasizes the fact that cow protection is more important than protection of these two animals, right? They must be given proper protection. So where was I? Yeah, another hint we get from this statement is that the Chandalas or the untouchables are also not to be neglected by the higher classes and should be given necessary protection. Everyone is important, but some are directly responsible for the advancement of human society and some are only indirectly responsible. However, when Krishna consciousness is there, then everyone's total benefit is taken care of. So, at the present moment, if we see, our society does not have the true caste system or varnashram system, which was actually established by Lord Sri Krishna, because there is a sense of superiority and inferiority, right? But here it's very clearly mentioned that everybody has their role and contribution for advancement of human society. Some may do directly, some may do indirectly, but nobody is neglected, right? Everybody needs protection, everyone is important. And then Prabhupada mentions that if Krishna consciousness is there, then everybody's benefit will be automatically taken care of. The sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja is observed in the Krishna consciousness movement. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that since Krishna is worshipable, so his land Vrindavan and Govardhan hill is also worshipable. To confirm this statement, Lord Krishna said that Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of him. From that day, Govardhan Puja has been going on and is known as Annakut. In all the temples of Vrindavan or outside of Vrindavan, huge quantities of food are prepared in this ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. Sometimes the food is thrown to the crowds and they enjoy collecting it off the ground. From this, we can understand that prasadam offered to Krishna never becomes polluted or contaminated, even if it is thrown on the ground. The people therefore collect and eat it with great satisfaction. So, this ceremony of Govardhan Puja has also been named as Annakuta, and where lot of prasadam is prepared and distributed. So, since Lord Krishna, he has personally recommended, and what has been told here that Lord Chaitanya in Lord Krishna in his incarnation as Lord Chaitanya, what does he say? That Vrindavan and Govardhan are also worshipable because they are in one sense not different from Krishna, and Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of Lord Krishna. So people even today with such enthusiasm we celebrate across all ISKCON temples this wonderful festival of Govardhan Puja. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, uh, yeah, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna therefore advised the cowherd men to stop the Indra Yajna and begin the Govardhan Puja in order to chastise Indra, who was very much puffed up at being the supreme controller of the heavenly planets. The honest and simple cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, accepted Krishna's proposal and executed in detail everything he advised. They performed Govardhan worship and circumambulation of the hill. Following the inauguration of Govardhan Puja, people in Vrindavan still dress nicely and assemble near Govardhan Hill to offer and worship and circumambulate the hill, leading their cows all around. So, as Lord wanted, they were following that proper procedure. As Lord Krishna wanted that, first of all, keep the cows ahead and circumambulate the hill. First, worship the cows, then dress very nicely, keep the cows in front, and then circumambulate. Do the parikrama of Govardhan. According to the instruction of Lord Krishna, Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men called in learned Brahmanas and began to worship Govardhan hill by chanting the Vedic hymns and offering prasadam. The inhabitants of Vrindavan assembled together, decorated their cows, and gave them grass. Keeping the cows in front, they began to circumambulate Govardhan hill. The gopis dressed themselves very luxuriantly and sat in bull driven carts, chanting the glories of Krishna's pastimes. The Brahmanas assembled there to act as priests for Govardhan Puja, offered their blessings to the cowherd men and their wives, the gopis. So we see over here that the whole atmosphere is so Krishna conscious that what is the focus of their life? Protection of cows. Krishna, whatever he says, they are ready and very happy to follow what he wants from them. These the gopis, when they sit in the bullock carts, what are they talking? Simply the glories of Krishna. So this is the param siddhi of life. This is the perfection of life, that if somebody can always meditate and remember Lord. When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he was himself Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna himself are identical. So now this pastime Lord did to convince everybody that there is no difference between Krishna and Govardhan. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in temples. So Govardhan is a self-manifesting deity, like Shaligram. You need not install a Shaligram Shila. It's already Lord Vishnu. Similarly, the Govardhan hill is itself Lord Krishna. There is no difference between them. So many devotees, they take Govardhan to their homes and they worship him, just like, so we don't step over Govardhan, right? Lord Chaitanya forbade us to uh, touch our feet to Govardhan hill. The followers of Krishna consciousness movement may therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan hill and worship them at home. Because this worship is as good as deity worship, the form of Krishna who began to eat the offerings was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with other inhabitants of Vrindavan, offered obeisances to the deity as well as the Govardhan hill. So, since it has been told that Lord Krishna, he wanted to convince them, he took a very big form and he was accepting all those delicacies and food items which were prepared. So he, although he was present, he paid obeisances to that deity of his own and Govardhan Hill as well. So in offering obeisances to the huge form of Krishna and Govardhan Hill, Krishna declared, "Just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed this huge form and is favoring us by accepting all the offerings." Krishna also declared at that meeting, "One who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja, as I am personally conducting it, will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me." This is a personal instruction by the Lord, that anybody who is living in and around the area of Vrindavan, what they should do? They should worship the hill, Govardhan hill, by the process that Lord Himself has shown us. Thus, performing the Govardhan Puja sacrifice, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan followed the instructions of Krishna, the son of Vasudev, and afterwards they returned to their respective homes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport, the 24th chapter of Krishna, worshipping the Govardhan hill. So, till here we have read chapter number 24, and from now on we read chapter 25, which is entitled Devastating Rainfall in Vrindavan. So till now, uh, the ceremony has got completed and everybody happily returns back to their home. When Indra understood that the sacrifice which was to be offered by the cowherd men in Vrindavan had been stopped by Krishna, he became angry and he vented his anger upon the inhabitants of Vrindavan who were headed by Nanda Maharaj. Although Indra knew perfectly well, that Krishna was personally protecting them. As the director of different kinds of clouds, Indra called for the Samvartak. This cloud is invited when there is need to devastate the whole cosmic manifestation. The Samvartak was ordered by Indra to go over Vrindavan and inundate the whole area with an extensive flood. Demonically, Indra thought himself to be the all powerful Supreme Personality. When demons become very powerful, they defy the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead. Indra, although not a demon, was puffed up by his material position, and he wanted to challenge the Supreme Controller. He thought himself, at least for the time being, as powerful as Krishna. Indra said, "Just see the impudence of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They are simply inhabitants of the forest, but being infatuated with their friend Krishna, who is nothing but an ordinary human being, they have dared to defy the demigods." So, see, this is the biggest error that Indra is doing now. That what does he think? That Lord Sri Krishna is an ordinary human being? So, and therefore, Lord Krishna wanted to correct him that because he had become so puffed up and he was very feeling very proud due to his position being controller of the heavenly planets. Krishna has declared in the Bhagavad Gita that the worshippers of the demigods are not very intelligent. He has also declared that one has to give up all kinds of worship and simply concentrate on Krishna consciousness. Krishna's invoking the anger of Indra and later on chastising him is a clear indication to his devotees that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness have no need to worship any demigod, even if it is found that the demigod has become angry. Krishna gives his devotees all protection and they should completely depend upon his mercy. So, this is a very good learning that why Lord is showing this whole pastime, because we had read yesterday that first of all it's not a wise idea to approach demigods because whatever first thing whatever they offer whatever results one gets is temporary, and second thing is that whatever they are giving to the worshipper is all by the sanction of the supreme personality of Godhead. And now Lord Krishna wants to prove very clearly to his devotees that you should not worry, don't need to go to any other demigod. If you can take shelter of the Lord, then he will give all protection even if the demigod becomes angry. Indra cursed the action of the inhabitants of Vrindavan and said, by defying the authority of the demigods, the inhabitants of Vrindavan will suffer in material existence. Having neglected the sacrifice to the demigods, they cannot cross over the impediments of the ocean of material existence. Indra further declared, these cowherd men in Vrindavan have neglected my authority on the advice of this talkative boy who is known as Krishna. He is nothing but a child, and by believing this child, they have enraged me. Thus, he ordered Samvarta cloud to go and destroy the prosperity of Vrindavan. The men of Vrindavan, said Indra, have become too puffed up over their material opulence and are overconfident due to the presence of their tinny friend Krishna. He is simply talkative, childish, and unaware of the complete cosmic situation, although he is thinking himself very advanced in knowledge. Because they have taken Krishna so seriously, they must be punished. They should be destroyed with their cows. In this way, Indra ordered the Samvartak cloud to go to Vrindavan and inundate the place. So he resorted, although he's a demigod, but he resorted to such demoniac activity that not only he wanted to kill Krishna, but he also even wanted to kill his devotees, the cows, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, right? It is indicated here in that village, here that in the villages or outside the towns, the inhabitants must depend on the cows for their prosperity. When the cows are destroyed, the people are destitute of all kinds of prosperity, so destitute of all kinds of opulences. When King Indra ordered the Samvartak and companion clouds to go to Vrindavan, the clouds were afraid of doing this mischief because they know that they are going to take this a blunder. But King Indra assured them, "You go ahead, and I will also go, riding on my elephant, accompanied by great storms. and I shall apply all my strength to punishing the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So Indra, he rides on on his what was the carrier of Indra? It's Airavat, who is an elephant, right? So Indra said, "Don't worry, Samvarta, clouds, you go, and you just bring a whole flood over here and kill like the goal is to kill all these Vrindavan Vasis by drowning them in flood, right? And simultaneously, he said, I will also come and I will come with great storms. Ordered by King Indra, all the dangerous clouds appeared above Vrindavan and began to pour water incessantly with all their strength and power. There was constant lightning and thunder, blowing of severe wind, and incessant falling of rain. The rain seemed to fall like piercing sharp arrows. By pouring water as thick as pillars without cessation. So, a single drop of water was assuming the shape of a pillar, so big, right? And these kind of clouds are actually called at a time of the destruction of this dissolution of cosmic manifestation. So, there was no visible distinction between highland and lowland because everywhere there was the clouds gradually filled all the lands in Vrindavan with water, and there was no visible distinction between high and low lands. The situation was very dangerous, especially for the animals. The rainfall was accompanied by great winds, and every living creature in Vrindavan began to tremble from the severe cold. Unable to find any other source of deliverance, they all approached Govinda to take shelter at his lotus feet. The cows, especially being much aggrieved from the heavy rain, bowed down their heads and taking their calves underneath their bodies, they approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take shelter of his lotus feet. At that time, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan prayed to began to pray to Lord Krishna. Dear Krishna, they prayed, you are all powerful and you are very affectionate to your devotees. Now please protect us who have been much harassed by angry Indra. Upon hearing their prayer, Krishna could understand that Indra, being bereft of his sacrificial honor, was pouring down rain that was accompanied by heavy pieces of ice and strong winds. Although all this was out of season, there was not a season, right? But now this is the time. Govardhan Puja is not does not come at a point when it's rainy season. Rainy season is already passed. Now winter is about to start. This is autumn, right? Sharad, this is the month of Sharad. So, Krishna could very easily understand that Indra is trying to take revenge. Krishna understood that this was a deliberate exhibition of anger by Indra. He therefore concluded, this demigod who thinks himself supreme has shown his great power. But I shall answer him according to my position, and I shall teach him that he is not autonomous in managing universal affairs. I am the supreme lord all over, and I shall take away his false prestige, which has risen from his power. The demigods are my devotees, and therefore it is not possible for them to forget my supremacy. But somehow or other he has become puffed up with material power and thus is now maddened. So Lord Krishna very clearly says that demigods are my devotees. But now Indra has become maddened by and become full of false prestige. He's become very egoistic. So I will protect him, right? I shall act in such a way to relieve him of his false prestige. I shall give protection to my pure devotees in Vrindavan who are at present completely dependent on my mercy and whom I have taken completely under my protection. I must save them by my mystic power. Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna immediately picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand, exactly as a child picks up some mushroom from the ground. Thus, he exhibited his transcendental pastime of lifting Govardhan Hill. Lord Krishna then addressed his devotees, my dear brothers, my dear father, my dear inhabitants of Vrindavan, you can now safely enter the umbrella of Govardhan Hill which I have just lifted. So Lord Krishna, he lifted Govardhan Hill from the ground just as a small child picks it, right? And therefore he is also called Giridhari. So he exhibited his transcendental pastime of lifting Govardhan hill. Then he requested everybody to come. Do not be afraid of the hill and think that it will fall from my hand. You have been too much affected from the heavy rain and strong wind. Therefore, I have lifted this hill, which will protect you exactly like a huge umbrella. I think this is a proper arrangement to relieve you of your immediate distress. Be happy along with your animals underneath this great umbrella. Being assured by Lord Krishna, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan entered beneath the great hill along with their property and animals, and they all appeared to be safe. So everybody entered below the Govardhan hill. The inhabitants of Vrindavan and their animals remained there for 1 week without being disturbed by hunger, thirst, or any other discomforts. They were simply astonished to see how Krishna was holding up the mountain with a little finger of his left hand. Seeing the extraordinary mystic power of Krishna, Indra, the king of heaven, was thunderstruck and baffled in his determination. So now Indra could understand ki, oh, ho, it's a big blunder I have done. For 1 whole week he was trying to kill and nothing happened, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan took shelter of Krishna and went beneath the Govardhan hill. So now he was thunderstruck that I have committed a big mistake. He immediately called for all the clouds and asked them to desist. So he told that now you go back and stop. When the sky became completely cleared of all clouds and there was sunrise again, the strong wind stopped. At that time, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known now as the lifter of Govardhan Hill, said, my dear cowherd men, now you can leave and take your wives, children, cows, and valuables, because everything is ended. The inundation has gone down along with the swelling waters of the river. All the men loaded their valuables on cart and slowly left with their cows and other paraphernalia. After they had cleared out everything, Lord Krishna very slowly replaced Govardhan Hill in exactly the same position it had been before. When everything was done, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan approached Krishna with feelings of love and embraced him with great ecstasy. So, since he protected all of them, they all of them felt a huge amount of gratitude to Lord Krishna and they embraced him. We have seen that all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, when Krishna comes back after subduing Kaliya, or whenever they see that Krishna is in grave danger and he comes back, they express their love by embracing him, right? When everything, so the gopis, being naturally very affectionate to Krishna, began to offer him yogurt mixed with their tears, and they poured incessant blessings upon him. Mother Yashoda, Mother Rohini, Nanda, and Balaram, who is the strongest of the strong, embraced Krishna one after another, and sorry, from spontaneous feelings of affection, blessed him over and over again. In the heavens, different demigods from different planetary systems such as Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, and Charanloka also began to show their complete satisfaction. They poured showers of flowers on the surface of the earth and sounded different conch shells. There was beating of drums, and being inspired by godly feelings, residents of Gandharvaloka began to play on their tamburas to please the Lord. After this incident, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by his dear friends and animals, returned to his home. As usual, the gopis began to chant the glorious pastimes of Lord Krishna with great feeling, for they were chanting from the heart. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 25th chapter of Krishna, devastating rainfall in Vrindavan. So we see from here that Lord Sri Krishna, he reciprocates with his devotees to the level and extent that a devotee reciprocates with him. So the inhabitants of Vrindavan had complete faith on Lord Sri Krishna and therefore they were protected. So we'll close our discussion for today here and we'll be conducting our test tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. So we thank all of you for being part of today's session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shil Prabhupad ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.